Your Grace, Bishop Matthias, very Reverend Fathers, Reverend Sisters, honored guests, dear parishioners of Holy Trinity. It's been an interesting and instructive task to decide on something to say today that would not sound like leftovers or remind anybody of the designated hitter rule. I say this because we already had a testimonial dinner to honor Father Vladimir's 50th anniversary in the priesthood. Many wise and appreciative words have been spoken to him and about him with great sincerity, privately and publicly. I suspect there may be a story or two involved there, and I'd like to add another one. Since you're retiring, I'm already retired. Some 4 years ago, or some years ago I should say, 4 of us priests met once a week at the Y for a game of racquetball and a swim. As some of you may know or may not know, that in his day, Father Vladimir was a good athlete and a very fierce competitor. Well, this particular afternoon, Father Vladimir trounced in short order the other 2 priests in a game of racquetball, and then my turn came. Now I know what Father Vladimir was thinking. This shouldn't take too long. But that afternoon, my adrenaline was rushing and my energy soared, and we went at it back and forth. The score waffled back and forth, back and forth. Father finally won by 1 point. After the game, he said, "You played surprisingly well." And I love surprises. I remind you of this because it's a way of putting a spin of what is true about the gospel and about the ministry of Holy Trinity and Father and Matushka have shared for 48 years. When you trust God and move ahead with spiritual integrity, new things happen, quite lovely things. For 11 years, I have watched Holy Trinity become a more inclusive church. I've watched how your sense of mission has grown. I've witnessed how your ecumenical involvement has increased. I've also watched as continuing challenges have been met with consistent grace, charity, and integrity. What I see in your pastor is a man who had the courage to stick to his vision, and perhaps especially when it has been inconvenient. It's never a popular thing to side with the marginalized. It's never proper to insist that people keep talking to and praying with each other when they would rather take sides. It's never popular to lead people, however gently, out of their comfort zone, even into the kingdom of God. Our blessed Lord says that the key to big surprises is letting go of self in the service of the Lord. And that requires a kind of faith, security, and confidence that I believe your pastor has. As his colleague, I simply have to emphasize that our time together is a core of solid faith that has embraced the stranger and friend alike. His style of ministry has reminded all of us when St. James wrote, "Be kind to one another," that he was on to much more than just a throwaway line. He was on to what our theology looks like in easy times and in difficult times. The charm, the poise, the wit, the liturgical presence works at Holy Trinity because they're all in the service of a central mystery, and having surrendered himself for us, Jesus rose to a reality in which we find meaning on a practical level. And that's why this is a celebration, not a wake. It's a celebration. Today's event marks the conclusion of what has been authentic, honorable, and graced with wonderful surprises. I think appropriate for today is a lesson from the book of Genesis. As modern people, we hear the story of Abraham and Isaac with terror, and we can't take it out of our minds. Besides the sheer terror of losing a child, Abraham heard a call to surrender, the only evidence he had that God was keeping his promises. In binding Isaac, he had to let go of that small evidence that big promises were being kept. And eventually, he discovered that God was there for both of them. And so there is a kind of blindly letting go for parish and priest today. The pastorate is soon to be over. Conventional wisdom says not to return to the parish for a length of time, and then only at the discretion of the new pastor. Easy to say, harder to do. Holy Trinity and Father Vladimir each have to let go of each other in a way that trusts God to see Holy Trinity through the next stage of life. What is it like for a leader to lay down his leadership of a community he loves? What is it like for a parish to say goodbye to a pastor who has been with them through thick and thin, a person on whom they can rely? Although nothing is being killed, we get to know a little of what Abraham was doing in trusting what and whom he loved entirely to God. I imagine that's a little tough. At the same time, here is where the Old Testament and Gospel come together. The central idea is when we give up control, God can step in. Pascha comes after Great Friday because life doesn't work any other way. And that is the difference between Abraham and us. We know how the story comes out. And so in letting go, in trusting God, the welcome future is allowed to happen for both Holy Trinity and for Father and Matishka. And there will be more surprises for everybody. God bless us all as the future happens. Thank you.